Welcome. And the question today from Kako64 is, what's older than we think? Hi, this is Derek. I just put the Drama Llama, Fred, back in his llama pen, so that I can do this quick video for you with some of the stuff that Fred found on Reddit earlier today. If this is your first time watching our videos, help me out by watching to the end, and then giving me some feedback in the comment area below. I do respond to every single one, so don't be shy. And if you want more of these videos daily, don't forget to like and subscribe, with notifications turned on for this channel. Oh boy, let's get ready for some drama. Dark Syrup answered with, the first carbonated drink to be sold to the public was invented by Swiss watchmaker and amateur scientist J.J. Schwepp in 1783, who sold his delicious, sparkling water to thirsty customers in Geneva. In just 7 years, he was doing business so fast that he moved the factory to London and introduced a new flavor, sparkling lemon, to stand out from competitors who were trying to imitate his drink. Given 2 Fly answered with, the O connector that we still use for headphones and speakers was invented in 1877. There have been improvements since, but the basics of it are pretty much the same. 4DC all answered with, beer is thought to be older than bread. It's much easier to fill a jar with wheat and water, let it ferment, and brew beer than it is to grind grain, mix it, and bake it. So you're telling me sliced bread is the greatest thing since beer? Ha! I remember reading or hearing somewhere that in ancient or medieval times, beer had a very low alcohol content and was very thick. It was essentially a dietary staple quite similar to the way bread is now. Scannon answered with, sharks. As a species, they're older than the rings of Saturn. Holy crap. I've heard of the tree thing, but this is new. Any sources? Just Google it really quick. Lol. Rings of Saturn are 10 to 100 million years old. Whereas we have found shark scales dating back 450 million years ago. Pretty crazy crap. Adding to this, scorpions are also nearly 450 million years old. So it kinda shows that you don't need that much brain to survive. If your species is evolutionarily overkill, it'll survive just fine. Aquilate89 answered with, wristwatches. Queen Elizabeth, I got one in 1571. Just going to drop this here. We had alarm clocks that rode themselves down a table and shot off mini cannons in the 1500s. Lindley answered with, National Geographic was founded in 1888. Same year as Foster's and Jack the Ripper. Princess Mothership answered with, I was really surprised to discover when Oxford University was founded. They don't know the year for sure, but they know there was definitely teaching going on there in 1096. Another commenter above said that Oxford isn't even the oldest university, but it's the most well-known. Al-Qarawiyyin University in Morocco is the oldest university, founded by Fatima al-Fihri in 859. Class of 859, where you at? Still paying off those student loans. Gyro Clone answered with, the fact that the lighter is older than the match shook my head as a kid. It also gave me the curiosity to question things that seem obvious. When you think about it, it makes sense. The lighter is a simple mechanical concept, some flammable gas and a spark. The match, on the other hand, is a complex chemical reaction. Barrow answered with, the electric car. What is likely the first human-carrying electric vehicle, with its own power source, was tested along a Paris street in April 1881, by French inventor Gustave Trouvé. The first crude electric car was built in the 1830s, but it was essentially a semi-functioning model. The electric car was a direct competitor to gasoline-powered vehicles, until the 1920s, when roads got better. People started driving further than the range of an electric car, and the world started finding major oil reserves. Weren't the first electric cars using lead-acid batteries? If so, when the batteries eventually discharged. Did people go somewhere to replace their battery with a new one? Kid Harvey answered with, escalators have been around since 1859, though they were called rotating stairs. Yet the US state of Wyoming still only has 2 of them. Granted, it's not like Wyoming has enough people to really need any more. S14 sure answered with, cruise control, power windows and automatic headlights. I saw all 3 on a 1955 Cadillac. Oh, and the radio on it had a seat function. Yet my sister drives a car, more than a half-century newer, without power windows. Noisestorm answered with, touch screens. We think they're one of the main defining features of modern technology, since they only really got big in the late 2000s, early 2010s. But they were actually invented 55 years ago in 1965. It's kind of crazy to think about, but while most of our grandparents were getting rid of their black and white TVs, researchers already had touchscreen devices in the labs. It wasn't really until the 80s that it really got good, but by the 90s it was easily sophisticated technology. In fact, Microsoft even had a Windows XP tablet out by 2001 that had seriously good finger/stylus recognition. But it didn't really pick up until smartphones became a thing a decade later. You could also consider the magnetic drawing board to be a touchscreen, since it more or less has a stylus and surface for you to draw on. But that was actually invented later than the touchscreen in 1974. Darpy Face answered with, fax machines. They were invented in 1843, before the telephone. PME or Boob's Poor Favor answered with, sharks. Sharks as a family are older than trees. The oldest evidence puts sharks in an era where the only multicellular plant was algae. Edit. Guys, sharks did not eat the algae. They ate what ate the algae. I knew they were old, but darn not that old. I looked it up, and fossils are said to be around 450 million years old. My contribution to this thread was ferns, 359 million years old, but sharks are another 100 mil before that. Mind blown. Edit. I'll put my original factoids here since 1. Infinitely more people are going to see this comment than my original 5-up dude comment, lol, and 2. Because gracious strangers have gifted me with whatever these awards are. Lol. Hope you all learned something about my favorite plant. Ferns. The fern, class Polypodiopsida, class of non-flowering vascular plants that possess true roots, stems, and complex leaves and that reproduce by spore constitute an ancient division of vascular plants, some of them as old as the Carboniferous period, beginning about 358.9 million years ago, and perhaps older. Their type of life cycle, dependent upon spores for dispersal, long preceded the seed plant life cycle. For comparison, that puts them about 113 million years older than non-bird dinosaurs, which lived between about 245 and 66 million years ago. Fun fact about evolution. There was a time when trees existed, before there were microbes to decompose them. The trees were made of lignin and cellulose, and the microbes that could eat them took some time to evolve. These trees grew 150 plus feet tall, and had shallow roots, so they fell over quite easily. The trees would fall down to the forest floor, and just sit there. They wouldn't decompose. So you'd have forests that were hundreds of feet deep, of just fallen over trees. Jazzman0116 answered with, the ancient Romans, well, the wealthy ones had central heating in their homes. You can actually still see the pipes in some of the buildings at Herculaneum. Steve Guy High 1243 answered with, flushing toilets date all the way back to the Indus River Valley civilization, back in 2000 BC. Ancient Minoans, 3000 to 1100 BCE, had hot and cold running water. And an extensive sewage system. The Silent Shane answered with, I was shocked to learn that Oreos predate chocolate chip cookies, sliced bread, and my 100-year-old great-grandmother. You're going to make me Google the year, aren't you? 1912 for those wondering. Someone answered with, Brain surgery. In 1997, archaeologists discovered an ancient tomb in the French village of Ensisheim from 5000 BC, which contained the decomposing body of a 50-year-old man with holes in his skull. After a thorough examination, it was determined that the holes, located near the frontal lobe, were caused by a type of surgery, not by force trauma. And the operation appears to have been successful, because the wounds healed before the patient's death. To this day, however, researchers cannot say for sure what exactly the surgery was trying to fix. Beneath the Trees answered with. The name Tiffany. It dates back to the 12th century, and has actually led to a thing in writing called the Tiffany problem. Because you can have a well-researched historical novel that people just don't buy into. Because you named your 12th century peasant Tiffany? It just sounds laughably anachronistic. The Tiffany problem makes me think of Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice and the name Jessica. He wanted the love interest, who was Jewish, to have a super exotic name, so he invented the name Jessica. The name has become so common since then that it's totally lost its effect. Iron Wolf 6464 answered with. Contraceptives such as condoms were around a very long time, and made of hard leather. Andromelot answered with. Nintendo. This company was actually created in 1889. Colonel Walter Tits answered with. Beer. It's one of the oldest prepared drinks in the world. It not only predates every civilization, but actually contributed to their creation. Say my name Bastian answered with. I don't know if this counts, but dinosaurs lived on the earth a lot longer than most people think. When you think of dinosaurs, you think of their extinction, but they roamed the earth for 165 million years. Compare that to our 6 million, and it's almost mind-boggling, at least in my opinion. Edit, the modern form of humans is 200,000 years old. But if we include our humanoid ancestors, we've been here 6 million years. Edit 2. I get it, dinosaurs are still around. What I meant to say was the dinosaur era. What's even crazier to me is that, for most people in their minds there was dinosaurs, extinction, cavemen and us. Like we popped out of the ash of the dinos, but in reality, there were about 58 million years between the dinosaurs dying and the first Homo sapiens appearing, where the world was covered in mostly now extinct megafauna. Sure, dinosaurs are cool and all, but why does nobody talk about giant North American ground sloths, cave bears and lions? There's literally tens of millions of years of interesting non-dinosaur species that most people seem to just not even know existed. And finally, Edgar answered with. Contact lenses. Leonardo da Vinci had the idea of contact lenses in 1508. And the first successful contact lenses were made in 1888. In so many fields, he was way ahead of his time. The guy truly was a visionary. Well, there you have it. A perfectly great question answered by a bunch of fine and honorable citizens. Help support this channel by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. And hit that silly little bell as well to ensure you get the latest videos as they come out. Fred is always finding stuff for me to post regularly. So this is Derek signing off. Thanks for watching. Good grief, it sounds like Fred is out of his pen again. I think he found more drama for me to share with you. See you soon.